Now that Violet has unlocked her lightning-wielding signet power, the dangers at Basgiath War College only grow more intense. She faces grueling combat tests, political intrigue, and the looming threat of war, all while navigating her increasingly complicated relationship with Xaden. With her power awakened, Violet begins training harder than ever to control her abilities. Tairn is relentless, pushing her to her limits, refusing to let her be weak. She starts flying more confidently on his back, but he constantly reminds her that she has barely scratched the surface of her true strength. Meanwhile, Andarna still remains small, unable to carry Violet but incredibly intelligent and loyal. Xaden watches her progress closely, though he remains as infuriatingly unreadable as ever. Violet's research into the history of the First Six continues, and she starts to uncover disturbing inconsistencies in Navarre's official records. There are mentions of venin, corrupted magic users, but no proof that they still exist. She begins suspecting that the Navarre government is hiding something massive. Jasenia, her scribe contact, warns her to be careful who she trusts, as people have disappeared for asking too many questions. The next big challenge arrives: solo survival training. Cadets are dropped into the wilderness with no weapons or supplies and must find their way back to Basgiath while avoiding ambushes from both their peers and wild beasts. Violet is at a major disadvantage due to her lack of physical strength, but she relies on her intelligence, strategy, and Andarna's hidden abilities to outmaneuver threats. While navigating the forest, Violet is attacked by a group of cadets who see her as an easy target. She barely escapes, suffering several injuries, but Tairn and Andarna intervene at the last second, saving her. Tairn's fury at her attackers is terrifying, and for the first time, Violet realizes just how protective her dragons are over her. But the worst isn't over yet. While traveling through the wilds, Violet stumbles upon something that shouldn't exist: a group of venin, the very creatures Navarre claims were eradicated long ago. She watches from the shadows as they drain magic from the land itself, corrupting everything around them. Before she can escape, she's spotted and a deadly chase ensues. Violet is completely outmatched. The venin are powerful, ruthless, and terrifyingly fast. Just as she's about to be caught, Xaden and his dragon, Sorrengail, appear out of nowhere to save her. This isn't a coincidence. Xaden knew they were here. She demands answers, but Xaden refuses to explain anything just yet, telling her they need to return to Basgiath immediately. Back at the War College, Violet is furious. She demands the truth from Xaden, suspecting that he knows far more about the venin than he's letting on. He finally admits that the venin aren't just real, they are growing in power, and Navarre's leadership is actively covering it up. This changes everything. Knowing the truth puts Violet in more danger than ever. Xaden warns her that now that she's seen the venin firsthand, she has two choices. Pretend she never saw anything and stay silent. Join him and a secret group of riders who are preparing for war against the venin, even if it means betraying Navarre. Violet is torn. She's been taught absolute loyalty to her country her entire life. But if what Xaden is saying is true, then everything she's been taught is a lie. As Violet struggles with this decision, her bond with Xaden grows stronger than ever. They continue training together, and she starts to see the truth behind his cold exterior. He's not just a ruthless warrior, but a leader carrying the weight of a dangerous secret. The attraction between them is undeniable, but Violet still doesn't know if she can trust him. Violet finally makes her decision. She won't stay silent. She begins secretly training harder, learning combat techniques that aren't part of Navarre's standard curriculum, knowing that she'll need them soon. With war on the horizon and enemies closing in, her time at Basgiath is no longer just about surviving. It's about preparing for battle. But one thing is certain: nothing will ever be the same again. Violet is no longer just a student at Basgiath War College. She's a warrior in training for a war her country refuses to acknowledge. With the venin threat growing, her alliances shifting, and her bond with Xaden deepening, the stakes have never been higher. Every year, Basgiath holds War Games, a brutal, high-stakes simulation that tests cadets' ability to fight and strategize under pressure. Unlike previous years, this year's games are rumored to be harsher than ever. Violet knows she needs to prove herself, not just to survive, but to cement her place among the strongest riders. With Xaden leading a squad and Violet assigned to a dangerous scouting mission, tensions begin to rise. Violet's squad is sent deep into enemy territory, simulated but still deadly. During the exercise, Dane tries to take control, insisting Violet should stay out of combat because she's too fragile. Violet loses patience with Dane's overprotectiveness and publicly challenges his authority, proving she can and will fight for herself. Meanwhile, Xaden watches closely, impressed by her defiance. In a shocking twist, real enemies infiltrate the wargames. A rogue faction of venin and wyvern riders launch an unexpected attack. Wyverns, dragon-like creatures ridden by venin, are larger and more powerful than normal dragons, but corrupted and soulless. Violet barely manages to dodge an aerial assault, her instincts kicking in as Tern battles a wyvern midair. But this isn't part of the simulation. This is real. In the chaos, Xaden orders his squad to break protocol and use advanced battle tactics that aren't taught at Basgiath. Violet realizes this isn't the first time he's fought the venin. She pieces it together. Xaden has been secretly training to fight the venin for years. He and his group of riders are part of an underground resistance preparing for a war Navarre refuses to acknowledge. Now, she knows the truth, but will she stand with him or against him? Violet and her squad fight for their lives as the wyverns tear through cadets. Tern and Andarna work together for the first time in combat. Andarna's ability to slow time gives Violet the split-second advantage she needs to survive. In the heat of battle, Violet channels her lightning power more effectively than ever, blasting an enemy wyvern from the sky. But just as victory seems possible, a venin sets its sights on her. The venin is unlike anything Violet has ever faced. It moves impossibly fast, draining magic from the environment, growing stronger with every attack. Her lightning barely slows it down. Just when it seems like Violet is about to be overpowered, Xaden intervenes, saving her, but exposing his true abilities in the process. He has his own secret signet power, something far deadlier than she expected. The battle ends, but at a massive cost. Many cadets are dead, and Basgiath's leadership scrambles to cover up what happened. Violet demands answers. She confronts Xaden, forcing him to reveal everything. Xaden confesses. Navarre's government is lying. The venin have been returning for years, but the leadership refuses to acknowledge the threat. Instead of preparing for war, they've been sacrificing riders to maintain their illusion of control. Violet is furious. Violet now faces a difficult choice. Expose the truth, which could make her an enemy of her own country. Stay silent and let Navarre continue sending young cadets to die against an enemy they're not prepared for. Xaden asks her to trust him to join his rebellion against Navarre's leadership. She doesn't say yes, but she doesn't say no either. Violet and Xaden's relationship finally reaches a boiling point. The tension between them has been undeniable, but now it's more than attraction. It's trust, anger, and fear all wrapped together. Violet demands to know, "Why did you save me? Why do you care what happens to me?" Xaden's answer is everything she didn't expect. "Because I can't lose you, Violet." Their bond deepens, but the war isn't going to wait for them. With the truth exposed, Violet is no longer just a cadet. She is a key player in a war no one else is willing to fight. Her next mission? Find proof that Navarre's leaders have been covering up the existence of the venin. If she fails, she could be branded a traitor. If she succeeds, she might just save the kingdom. But the real question remains, is she ready for what comes next?